Hello, viewers. Thank you for watching my podcast. My podcast is MAO Chat. It's a show that gives Miss America fans and volunteers the opportunity to get to know title holders, as well as gives title holders the opportunity to share their social impact initiatives and what's been going on in their lives. Our guest today is Miss America 1993, Leanza Cornett, and I hope you enjoy the show. Miss Leanza Cornett, welcome. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored.
It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. When I advertised that I was interviewing you, a lot of people online had, a great response. Reggie Wood said, "Love me some Leanza." Stan Taylor said, "She is remarkable." Andrew Gear said, "She is my all-time favorite Miss America." And Bob Taylor said, "One of the most amazing women on the planet." So a lot of people out there in the Miss America world love you, and I'm sure they'll love this show. So we're going to start out talking about service, because I know that you're a service-minded individual. Your platform was AIDS awareness and prevention, and I have a video of your speech from the Miss America pageant that I want to play for the viewers. And then after the speech, I want to talk about what led you to that platform. So for the viewers, this is a clip of the Miss America pageant 1993 when Leanza Cornett spoke about AIDS.
Leanza Cornett, Miss Florida.
People with AIDS need compassion, not pity, not fear, and least of all, condemnation. More than 200,000 people in the United States are infected with the AIDS virus. Today, there is no cure for AIDS, but there will be someday. Through education, awareness, and compassionate assistance, we will win the battle against AIDS. And when working together, we will all be a part of the victory.
So what led you to AIDS awareness and prevention as a platform?
Well, first of all, looking at the video, I feel it's like it happened to a different person. It was so long ago, but I still have a sense of like pride, and it was such a fabulous, it's such a fabulous time for me in so many different ways. But what led me to that platform, is that what you
Right,
asked? Yeah.
right, yes.
Well, I always say, just remember that this was in 1993.
Right.
I was Miss America 93. So back in the late 80s or early 90s is when I started competing. And, I really hadn't been like a pageant person until I competed in the Miss America system. And that's when they started implementing the platform issues. And I wasn't really, I was in college and I didn't really do a whole lot of volunteering or anything like that. But that was also during the time that AIDS was being recognized as a pandemic,
Right.
and that everyone was being affected by it. But we still had so little information about it.
Right.
And then I would find out that because I was involved in all kinds of different activities. And, unfortunately, a lot of people in the arts, which is what I did, a lot of theater and, all that, were being affected.
Right.
And so I sort of delved into it. And, I mean, I guess as far as how I got involved with the pageant end of it was I was living in Orlando. I'd taken a job at Disney, and I had never volunteered. I had friends with AIDS. I had friends with HIV, so I was very aware of it, as much as
Right.
all of us were. We didn't know a whole lot about the disease and about how it was spread. We were so ignorant at the time just because we didn't have the information.
Right.
But I read a newspaper article in the Orlando Sentinel, and there was a family or a husband and wife that they had an organization, or they basically turned their home into a foster care, and they called it was Serenity House. And
Okay.
I read this article, and they were taking in children whose mothers had HIV or AIDS and died,
Mm-hmm.
or were not able to care for them, and the babies were born with AIDS. And a lot of the parents did not want to take them. A lot of the foster parents didn't want to
Right.
take them. And so
Yeah.
Charlene and Jim White took them in, and this article was all about how they really needed support.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally drove to their house one day outside of Orlando, and I said, I want to help. So I started taking care of these little babies, and I'm talking babies, like
Mm-hmm.
some newborns, some toddlers, whatever.
Right.
And I just fell in love with the idea of, I didn't know these people. I didn't know these kids. I didn't know their whole background situation,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a need there, and I wanted to serve it. And I did everything. I trained for it, and I did everything. And then I started getting involved with another organization, and it just sort of blossomed from there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I took it on as a platform, there was really no, for me, we were supposed to choose like three things, like your top choice for a platform, and number 2 and number 3. And I was like, I don't have a 2 and 3. Like, this is where I
Right.
am.
Okay.
Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing education. I'm going to high schools and teaching kids, and I'm delivering food. And I got to be really good friends with a gentleman that had full-blown AIDS, which is what they called it at the time. He was on AZT, which was the only thing that we had available at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I would take him to doctor's appointments, and it broke my heart, but at the same time, it just invigorated this passion in me to do something about it, just
Right.
to educate people, because I was getting more educated.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have another choice. Like, for me, that was like, okay, got it.
Right.
That's where I'm supposed to be.
I think it took guts. I and of course other people think that it took guts to talk about that, because many people don't even like to talk about that topic. I even know I have friends who are doctors, and for some reason that is a taboo to, like, people don't even like to talk about it. So I think it really took guts of you to to tackle that, but clearly you were passionate about it, and that's why you did it.
Yeah, I've been told that before. Like, you're so courageous. It didn't feel courageous. It felt like that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, when you feel your calling, when you feel your purpose, it's like, I mean, were other people doing it? No, but there are very few times in my life that I've done what everybody else does. I'm that girl.
So
Yeah.
were you
So,
about to say something else?
no, I was just going to say it felt very natural to make
Right.
that what I was supposed to do during that year and make that kind of difference.
Right.
So,
And I know that since you gave up the crown, you still have been living a life of community service, making trips to Africa and things like that. Can you talk about the community service that you've done since you've given up the crown?
yeah, I grew up in a family that was very service oriented. We worked with a church that went and did different not missionary, but like mission trips.
Right.
And with groups of teenagers. So I learned at an early age that was a very important part of giving back for what you have in life. Not everyone has. So let's
Right.
amend that. So that's basically carried on. I mean, from day one, I still am involved in different AIDS communities and, different organizations here. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida now, which is where I partially grew up, but I'm involved there. I've done mission trips to Africa where we take care of several, they have, that's a whole different arena. They've got diseases that we've never even heard of.
Wow.
And I was just a volunteer. I would work in the pharmacy, and we had translators, and we had pediatricians and nurses, doctors, that would basically take care of these people that would stand in line and walk for miles and miles and miles to get to a free clinic, because they just don't, this was like Sierra Leone, and, really like the banks of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was very inspiring to me. And then I kind of got like really involved with especially when this pandemic with COVID started. I sort of put myself out there just in my neighborhood, in my community, and said,
Mm-hmm.
hey, if there's I love to cook, and if there's anybody that needs anything. And this one woman reached out to me,
Uh-huh.
and she said, we could really use your help.
Yeah.
And so now I've been taking care of her kids, who are just so precious to me, and bringing them groceries and just feeding, and that just makes me, it's sort of two-sided. Like, I'm doing something for her, but she has no idea how much she's doing for me.
Right.
She's a single mom of 3, and she's had some issues in her life, and it just makes me happy. And
Wow.
I know that that's a calling for me and a purpose for me that I may have never discovered had it not been, because even though my family was involved, Miss America really taught me that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just here's your chore, here's what you've been assigned to do, and then falling in love with it and defending it
Mm-hmm.
and being so passionate about it that was not ever going to go away.
Right.
Look, I fought politicians, I fought school boards, to be able to go and talk
Mm-hmm.
honestly and openly about AIDS. And I remember carrying around a heavy briefcase of paperwork, like CDC and all this stuff.
Oh,
and I would
goodness.
study it on the planes, on the airplanes. It was just, it felt so right for me. So
Wow.
I think that's one of the gifts of having been in that system, where service is so
Mm-hmm.
important, and it's a huge part of who you are when you're out there representing
Right.
the pageant, representing Miss America, representing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important.
Wow, you're a saint. I think they should make a movie about you one day.
Oh, thank you. Who would play me?
I don't know. Maybe by the end of the interview, I'll come up with somebody.
Okay, good.
So you were born in Virginia. You moved to Florida when you were a teenager. How did you get involved in pageants?
When we moved to Jacksonville, Florida, I was in the 9th grade. I was 13. So it was my junior year in high school, and I had already decided that I wanted to do as a major in college, that I wanted to do like theater, communication, something in that realm.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose a school that it's a private school, Jacksonville University. It was quite expensive.
Okay.
And I'm good at some things. Grades were not my my GPA was not like scholarship material.
Aww,
I did
right.
okay. I'm doing all right. But we were looking through the paper one night. My mom, newspapers are always a part of my life. My mom saw an article, like a thing, it was an advertisement.
Right.
Yeah. And it was about the Miss Jacksonville pageant.
Okay.
And it was for scholarship to the school that I wanted to go to, Jacksonville University. And she said, it's just competing in Miss Jacksonville University. It's just a pageant. And then that leads to Miss America. And I was like, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Wow.
I was very adamant about that. I fought tooth and nail. Like, it was not in my thinking at the time. But we went, and that year I competed strictly for the scholarship, let me tell you, because it was not, I did not want to, at that time, the whole crown and Miss America and the thing and the pomp and circumstance, that wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah.
But I went and I competed, and I got I won that pageant, my first pageant.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 18, I think. And then I went to Orlando, where the Miss Florida, and I was third runner up.
Okay.
Like, who knew? So then, that started the whole pace because I was able
Right.
to pay for school, and then I was first runner up at Miss Florida, which took me to the National Sweetheart pageant, and then I came
Yeah.
back and I competed at Miss Florida again, and sure enough, I won Miss Florida
Yeah.
after being talked into it once again because I was done. Like I was like, I've got enough
Oh.
money to go to school. I got talked into it, and then here I am on my way to Hoopston. Like,
Right.
it was it was a very strange journey,
Yeah.
and not one that I hadn't expected or really desired it,
Yeah.
but it happened, and I just sort of like, okay,
And you won National Sweetheart.
I
You
did.
did. And did you have like a pageant coach or somebody who was helping you, or was it just kind of doing your own thing and you were naturally good?
No, I had a couple of people that were helping me.
Okay.
I mean, the Miss Florida board, obviously, they had some people that they worked with on a regular basis, um, and I remember going to a coach, and I'm embarrassed that I don't even remember who it was, but it just wasn't for me. Like,
Oh.
for me,
Uh-huh.
I mean, this is just me.
Right.
Because I think coaches are extremely important if you're not, but I was so used to being on stage and I was so used to being in front of people and comfortable with it that I felt like, okay, I'm good with interview.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, so I didn't continue with her, but she was helpful, in certain points. But, it was, I mean, I don't mean to be like super spiritual about it, but I think God just had his hand on the whole situation. He's like, you've got a job to do. I've got a purpose for you. And this is what's going on.
Very nice.
So stay out of my way, and I'm going to put you there.
Very nice. So I have a video of your crowning moment from Miss America, and then I want to play it for the viewers, and then I want to ask you, what were you thinking? What were you feeling in that moment?
Okay.
So here for the viewers, here is the crowning moment of Miss America 1993, Leanza Cornett.
That leaves just two. One will be the first runner-up. She'll win a $20,000 scholarship. The other wins a $35,000 scholarship and the most coveted crown in America, and her life will forever be changed. She'll become Miss America 1993. Why do I feel like for the first time everybody's listening to me for a change?
Reach, in a minute, all of America's going to be at your throat.
Okay, here we go. The first runner-up, winner of the $20,000 scholarship, is Catherine Ann Lemkow, Miss Iowa. And the winner and new Miss America 1993, Leanza Cornett, Miss Florida.
So what were you thinking? What were you feeling in your crowning moment?
Oh my goodness. Well, you can obviously see the look on my face when I found out that I was going to be
You look
Miss
shocked.
America. I was very shocked, like most other people that had been attending the preliminaries and, knew what was going on, as far as the preliminary winners. I think everyone thought, including myself, that Kathy, Miss Iowa, was going to win the pageant. She had won 2 preliminaries, and we were in the same group. I won no preliminaries.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I say to her at one point, You can see it on the video. You can't really read but I said, you're going to make the best Miss America. Because I felt that way. I was like, and I liked her so much. And thankfully we've stayed in touch over the years, but
that's nice.
So I was shocked. That was my first reaction is I think they told me that they were, getting smelling salts together backstage, if that still exists. But yeah, they thought she's going to pass out. And I because I was just so stunned. I have a huge extended family. My dad is the youngest of 13. My mom is the oldest of 5. Like, I have cousins and aunts and uncles everywhere, and they chartered a bus to get to Atlantic City, and they were all sitting in the same section, hats, buttons, the whole regalia. They were like, it was, and I could hear them in that section over there, and I just remember. I remembered what I was supposed to do, and that was thank the judges. So I did that.
Okay.
That was on the agenda, on my to-do list.
Right.
If winning, if you win, do this. And so, I just did the courtesy, thank you. And then I didn't know where to stand because, of course, during rehearsals, I was goofing off and I didn't pay attention. I'm the worst. So I'm stumbling and so finally I find myself in front of Carolyn, and she's putting the crown. I just remember the dress that I wore was a borrowed dress from
what? It
was, that white gown was from Kim Summerall. She was a competitor in Florida and a friend. And so I borrowed the dress and the gloves, I believe I borrowed, and I wanted to do the whole and wipe my tears, and but then I was like, oh, they're borrowed, I don't want to get them dirty, weird things come through. Oh no. And then the first cognizant memory that I really remember is thinking, this is terrible, I'm a horrible person. What? The first thing that I thought of as I started down the runway was, I hope, I won't say his name, but I hope first boyfriend ever, who I was totally in love with, is watching this right now, because he'd broken up with me.
Oh my God.
I'm not above vengeance, let me tell you. And I've told that story a couple of times, and he heard about it. But I can't. He goes, you know what? I was watching. And I said, good deal. So,
wow.
He's actually still a friend, and he's great. But it was those moments where you're just the thoughts are flooding through, and and then they were telling me to turn around, and I think I could have walked off the runway. It hadn't said turn around, and then I look at them and I go, what? Me?
Right.
Such a hodgepodge of, and then everything begins. The press conference and the pictures and, the family in the hotel room, and they'd moved me up to the high rollers suite, I was staying at the Claridge at the, that's where one of our groups stayed. And, everything is just minute by minute by minute. And it goes so fast that first night. And it's exciting and it's scary and it's super cool. But I'm in my mind, I'm going, okay, so I guess I'm not going back to school right now. And I probably need to cancel the lease on the apartment.
Right.
It's just that kind of thing. But we went off and running. The next day we were on our way to New York to do press interviews, and it's like that.
Snowball.
At least it was at that time. I don't know what it's like now. I mean, I traveled 20,000 miles a month.
Oh, and wow.
I don't know that it's like that anymore because things have changed, the dynamics of the advertising and stuff like that. But yeah, those are the first thoughts. Gloves and not getting them dirty. And Kenny, we'll just say his first name, Kenny, Hope you're watching. And then like, okay, what's my like? What am I supposed to do next?
Right.
Like, did anybody give me directions? Because I was not listening. I'm just telling you.
So
I was back in the back eating a Twix bar.
oh my goodness. So you were the first Miss Florida to win Miss America.
Yeah.
So was that in your head at that moment? Like, I made history as the first Miss Florida?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I knew, I mean, I guess I knew in the back of my mind that I was.
Yeah.
That wasn't my first thought.
Thing. Oh, okay. And then you mentioned earlier that you were not about like all the pomp and circumstance, and I think I read that you were the first Miss America to not want to wear her crown at appearances or something like that.
Yeah, that's correct.
So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. I had to really sort of fight a lot of diehard Miss America people about that. And it wasn't like I was refusing, like throwing the crown and like, stomping my feet, like I refuse to wear the crown. Yeah. It wasn't like that. Okay. It was just, I just felt like my platform when I was doing speaking engagements, it was such a serious topic. And for me to be like, I felt like a parody. You know?
I see.
And so I didn't feel like anybody was going to take me very seriously in that world. Now, had I been making an appearance in front of Miss America people? Absolutely.
Right.
I was talking to like doctors and then I also felt like if I was doing autograph signings or going to schools, which I did a lot, I did a lot of that. I enjoyed having the crown out and displayed, where the kids could try it on.
Yeah.
And in my little box that held the crown, it looks like a wooden lunchbox. There was a mirror inside, and I would hold up the mirror to them. And so that seemed a little bit more real to me than, I mean, I getting in front of a group of doctors or lawmakers or whatever, because I worked a lot on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Really a crap, like, come on, like, who's going to take you seriously at that point? And I really did feel that way. Now I think to me, it's such a symbol of achievement.
Yes.
But I didn't, I sat next to Bruce Jenner on an airplane several years ago, before Caitlin, but he was Bruce at the time. And I'm like, we kind of knew each other through some friends. We were traveling, but not together, but he happened to be sitting next to me. And he asked me where I kept my crown. And I said, what, you don't see it? Like I made a joke about it. And I said, no, it's tucked away. I don't even display it in my house, only because it's, it's not that I'm not proud of it. It's just that I'm not so attached to it that has to define what I am today.
I see. That's what I was thinking.
People ask to see it, I'm all about it. I vacuum in it. No, I'm not kidding. Just joking. I in my kitchen, I've got my rubber gloves. I'm a crown.
Right.
Very sweet. But and I said, where do you keep your gold medal? And he told me where he kept it in his house. And I said, see, you don't wear yours.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Right.
And I said, do you ever? He said, it's never been out of the box. I don't ever wear it.
Yeah.
Except for if there's a photo shoot where it's asked for it. And I think, you do. You recognize it as a symbol of achievement. And that's just my opinion. I have no judgment on anybody who wants to. And it's funny because at the end of my year of service, I was supposed to come out and walk the run. I can't remember. It was maybe one of the preliminary nights. It wasn't the main night. Anyway, I didn't have my crown simply because I left it in the hotel room. Like I forgot it.
Yeah.
And because I had all intentions to wear it at the pageant for sure, but I just forgot it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I got a lot of slack for that.
Yeah,
but,
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, but I think once I helped people understand where I was coming from, it was more understood. And also I felt really strongly about that, and it wasn't. No matter what anybody said, it wasn't going to change my mind. And the Miss America, the Miss America organization totally supported me. They were like, "Look, if
Oh,
you
that's
want,
cool.
totally cool." Yeah, they were actually really great during my year. They supported me 100%. They were on my side. There was not a lot of,
Friction or
just
yeah. So do you come
upset.
to the pageant every year? Do you watch it every year?
I definitely watch it, and I did not go last year. Connecticut snow, it just wasn't enough. And it was so close to the holidays.
Yeah, right.
But sorry, so I didn't go get last year, but yeah, I've gone, and then the farmers, my sisters have a we get together for a reunion every year.
Oh, that's nice.
Really
That's
fun.
cool.
Yeah. And there's usually about 16 or 17 of us.
Uh-huh.
And it's everybody from, Lee Merriweather, BB. I mean, like, we're talking age range it's crazy. And we have so much fun. We perform each other's talents. We literally stay in. I mean, we'll take day trips, and we do it in the last one was in Tampa. And we did one in California in the Napa Valley region. And, we just have fun together. We play and laugh, and we have so much fun. So I see them.
Yes.
But as far as the pageant, I get there when I can. It's not an easy trip to make. You fly into Philadelphia, you take a car or a train. It's a difficult.
Yeah. I got you.
And now it's not even Atlantic City.
Well, yeah, we'll see where it is this time.
I know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
A lot of people want it in Atlantic City, for the 100th, but we'll see.
I would love that.
Yeah. Speaking of talents, you mentioned earlier, do you have any favorite talents, or are there any talents that kind of stood out to you over the years that you liked?
Oh, sure. I think, the first one that comes to mind for sure is Heather Whitestone.
Yeah.
And having gotten to know her she's just such a beautiful person.
Right.
And I every time I watch her performance, I'm just so moved, and so just brings out something in you that's so beautiful and positive. I just love that. And I loved, there have been several. I loved, I actually loved Debbie on the room. Like who does that?
Oh yeah.
As a talent, but
right.
She's just so proficient. And then you talk to her, and she's just like this crazy smart, knows she's so intelligent, down to earth, but intelligent. And then she's like beeping away on the,
right.
I'm like, that's crazy. And there've been several others, during my era. And actually people gave her a hard time about this, but I think the Red Cup, Kira,
Kira
she was great.
Okay.
Yeah, and she is one of the nicest people I think I've ever met in my life. We've had so many different kinds of talent.
Right.
I thought Gretchen Carlson was brilliant. There've been several. I'm not really all that familiar. Well, Vonda, she was fantastic. She's so funny. And I've gotten to know her over the years too. She's just such a sweet lady. So yeah, one of the things that I think we are missing right now is to be able to really see people's, the girls or the women, the candidates, we're calling them now.
Yeah.
The candidates.
Right.
We don't get to see their talent as much.
Yeah.
Because it's so shortened. I feel like the rules are changing on a regular basis. But
yeah. So it used to be, what was it, 2 minutes or was it 3 minutes? back?
I was a minute and a half.
Okay.
Is that true? Wait.
I think now it's
I was
90
at a minute and
seconds. Right.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. But then it was like a minute. I mean, there was just nothing that, it's just not, you don't get a sense of the actual, the talent or the level of talent.
Right.
And what I think what is important about that, and I don't understand necessarily the Sears winner, the science girl.
Yeah.
you know, everybody calls her the scientist. But my best friend is a science teacher, and she said, "I'm so glad there's somebody out there representing women in science." And I'm like, "There you go."
Right. Yeah.
You've got built-in. Here's your role model. You've got a built-in person, and I think we relate to those things. And you see somebody on stage that it's like watching. I mean, I don't know. I watch these like The Voice or America's Got Talent or things like that. And I think those are really great shows. And or American Idol, had those been around during that time of my life, I probably would have stood in line for hours to, compete.
Yeah.
Miss America was, the closest thing to it for me at the time. But you see these people and where they came from and what they did. There's just such a story there. And I think the talent sometimes really does tell that story. So I miss that.
I did a poll online and I asked Miss America fans and volunteers what is their favorite phase of competition, and people said talent. And this year they only showed 5, and the last Miss America pageant they only showed 5. So hopefully next year they'll show more, at least 10.
I hope so. All the, well, not all of us, but a huge portion of the former Miss Americas were all texting each other throughout the pageant.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't never post or share the texts that we had going on between us. But one of the things that we said was like the format was just so bad. And how did they dwindle it down? And there was, I don't know, there's just so much that was missing. Yeah. And we were all so disappointed. I mean, it was a disappointing year, I think, for sure.
Yeah. I think you're already answering my next question. I was going to ask you about the transition to 2.0, the elimination of swimsuit, just some of the changes. What was your reaction to some of that?
Gotta shut her down. When I won the pageant and afterwards, I got a lot of questions about swimsuit competition. As I think we all have as formers or as contestants. And I was very anti swimsuit at the time. I said, I think, it has no place. It's archaic. It's, I feel very differently now.
Oh,
and I think maybe my age, maybe my take on just the history of the pageant, of the, where the pageant is supposed to be headed versus where it's been and going.
Right.
So I think it's essential because it's part of our history. I mean, it was a swimsuit. I mean, after all, that's how it began.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think there's a place for it. I don't think there's a place for skimpy bikinis because that's just me. I mean, I think that we need to show people that we're fit. Listen, you can't do that job if you're not in some sort of good shape. And it doesn't mean being skinny. It doesn't mean being anorexic.
Right.
But I remember getting ready for swimsuit. And I think this is why I had such an attitude about it. When I was getting ready for swimsuit competition, I really was, I was starving myself.
Yeah.
I was, and I'm a petite young woman. Well, I'm not young anymore, but at the time,
Right.
I was a pretty petite girl, but I was doing things to my body that was it was detrimental. So I think, there's a fine line, but I do think that it has a place in the pageant.
Okay.
I just do. I think historically it does. And I think it does have some, our age and our pop culture climate is such that we need some like appeal.
Oh, I see. Right. Oh, yeah.
Period. We've got to compete with a lot of different things. And that doesn't mean not having integrity about what we are and what we do.
Right.
But just having that kind of integrity. So, yeah, I think it's important to keep it in. I was quite disappointed. And as far as 2.0, I mean, I think a lot of us, especially as my sisters, my former sisters, we were so disappointed in the things that we had been told, sadly, directly by Gretchen. And then it was like not what happened. And I don't know who turned her around. I don't know if it was just her. I don't know if she was influenced. I mean, unfortunately, that's an organization that has been, it's under duress for the last how many ever years. So, yeah. So I'm just hoping that we make it to 100 at this point. I mean, it really, it's, and we will. I think there's, where there's a will, there's a way. We just have to figure it out and get there.
I know that they've been asking people to donate money and fundraising, and I know I personally donated, and because a lot of people love Miss America, like me, and a lot of people love it, and we just want to see it survive. Like you, what is something you would like to see in the next one? Like the format, what would you like to see?
Well, so I would love to see, first of all, I'd love to see my sisterhood represented.
Right.
And have a presence on the show, whether it's hosting different segments or just having a presence, walking out. Like, we've been rushed through things, like so many, like, it's just like you're non-existent. You don't really matter. But we're like, no, we had created a scholarship fund for we are important to the pageant. We are the ambassadors.
Right.
So I'd love to see all of my sisters there and have a place there. But I also, I would love to be in Atlantic City. I mean, I think that would be beautiful. I want production numbers.
Oh, I see.
This year, there was nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, the year that I won, and granted, that was quite a few years ago, 8 years ago. But we, that big Hawaiian, like, beautiful production number, and we've had everything from marching bands to, I mean, major productions. And I miss that because it doesn't seem like a show. And when we're in the same category as, competition or reality shows as like The Voice, like I said, or American Idol, and they've got these big sets and they've got and I mean, for me, I watched this year's pageant, the competition, and it looked like a 6th grade talent show. I'm sorry, but it just did. But, and they're trying to get rid of that, they're trying to make it more like interview and, but what's the first thing you saw? These young women laid out in like Playboy poses on like layered benches or whatever. And I'm like, no,
right.
That doesn't match I'm not anti that.
Yeah.
But then don't tell me that you're one thing and be another. Like, we need to, have that identity. So yeah, there are a couple of things I'd like to see. I really want some good hosts, like really great hosts. Yeah. And I don't know I have no suggestions on that, but I think that we've sort of failed in that market. I think we've lost a sense of the glamour and the excitement,
Right.
of the show and the young women and and the platform and being able to, I don't know. I just think all of the elements that were in place during the year that I was doing it have left the building.
Yeah, yeah. I've watched, shows from previous years, and I do remember seeing like the orchestras and people dancing and just all that other stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to switch topics a little.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be better next time.
I hope so.
You've done very cool stuff like Entertainment Tonight, the Disney Ariel, Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire, New Attitudes, Melrose Place, Fear Factor. What is your favorite television thing that you've done in your career?
I worked for Animal Planet for almost 10 years.
Okay.
And I did dog shows, which is so funny because when I had already worked for this company, a production company, doing just little like interstitial videos, and it was they were so much fun to work with that I said, if you need to hire somebody, I'm your girl, because I love working with you. So they called me up and they're like, oh, we're doing, we just got hired by they were owned by Discovery. We just got hired by the such and such whatever dog show association, and we're gonna go cover the dog shows. And I'm like, oh, do I want to be the dog show girl? Like, not that I was above it, but I'm like, I don't know anything. I mean, I've had pets my whole life, but,
right?
So that's been my favorite job, because we traveled. We were on the road 5 or 6 times a year and traveling to everywhere from Oregon to Great Britain,
Wow, cool.
doing these crazy dog shows. Yeah. And interviewing the groomers and the handlers. And I got to do these really super fun pieces, like where they were training me to be a handler in the ring. And, I learned so much about dog breeds. And so I just, that was a blast. And it was during a time that my kids they were little, but I wasn't spending a lot of time away. I was still able to be at home, except for these short like trips out of town to do these dog shows. So it was like the perfect job. But I loved that, and I loved ET. That was my first job in Hollywood in television, and that was exciting.
Cool.
But,
So I only have one final question. You seem like a very wise, spiritual person, and we're going through a pandemic, unprecedented time. So what advice would you give to anyone, as far as just keeping your head up, keeping, your spirits up, moving forward, going through this time that we're going through? What advice would you give?
I think, the best advice that I could give is, for me, journaling has been a huge, important part of my life. And I think recording your thoughts on paper during a time like this, where you might be distressed, or there's, there are people that you're not able to see, or places that you can't go to travel, plans that have been canceled, that you write your thoughts down. And then after you do that, make a gratitude list. I'm all about gratitude lists.
Okay.
All the things that you have to be thankful for.
I like that.
I ate 3 meals a day today. I had time with my, I Zoomed or I texted with my family and friends. And I think that's also very important. Stay in contact. We may not be in social contact with one another the way that we're used to, but this is the time that you really, I've been sending out cards galore, because I love to write.
Yeah.
And so I buy these like just cheap little cards, just, hey, I'm thinking of you, da, da, da. And it makes me feel good. And, that makes me feel like, I'm contributing to staying in contact without being,
I see.
I'm still socially, distant or whatever.
Right.
I just think, as much as we can remain in contact with them, we need each other. This is a time that we really honestly need each other. And then also, like with your people, these kids have been at home, with nothing to do. Like I've been taking care of this family, like I said, and I'm taking them to the zoo tomorrow and to our water park at the pool. Yeah, we've got to wear the masks and we've got to practice what what we're supposed to do. But just to have those kids be active and find things for them to do, I think this is the time to really dig deep and dive in to your creative abilities, to what you can do, and know that it won't last forever, hopefully.
Yes.
But just, and try and stay positive. And when you do feel bad, or when you feel lonely, or when you feel like, reach out, man. I mean, I called my mom the other night and I was like, I'm just feeling blue. Like, my roommate was gone. She's my best friend, and she had left for the weekend. And so I was like kind of by myself, and I was like, I don't want to watch Netflix anymore, And she said, well, let's just talk. So we just talked, we chatted. I just think it's important to stay in contact as much as we can. I really do.
Cool. Well, I would like to thank you for your time. Thank you so much for talking to me. I know that the Miss America community will love the interview and just hearing what you had to say. So thanks again for your time.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here, and thank you so much for what you're doing for the pageant and for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, and to the viewers, I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. My next guest for the month of August will be Miss Hawaii 2019 Nikki Holbrook, Miss California 2019 Eileen Kim, Miss America 2013 Mallory Hagan, and Miss America 1999 Nicole Johnson. You can look me up online on Facebook in the group MAO Chat. If you would like to, you can donate to my show. I have a link in there. But thanks again, viewers, for watching, and have a good day. Thanks a lot.